Welcome to our exciting journey along the Thames River. In this video, we're going to take you on a thrilling cruise filled with incredible tales of the past. Get ready to discover the famous bars where pirates used to hang out, uncover the rich history of the iconic Tower of London, marvel at the majestic Tower Bridge, and much more. Join us as we explore London's fascinating waterfront and learn about the captivating stories that have shaped this historic river. So, sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the Thames River adventure like no other.
River to Tower Pier, that's our next stop, and then we carry on down to Greenwich. Now hopefully everybody is on the right boat. Now as we leave the pier we have to give you a safety announcement, okay? This isn't to alarm you, it is just a requirement by law that I tell you the vessel that you are travelling on, it is fully equipped with life-saving apparatus for a full complement of passengers. Now this does come in the form of life rafts, life rings and life jackets, and they are all situated around the vessel and they are marked in the international green and cream stickers. Now in the unlikely event of an emergency, instructions will be given by a crew member, so there's no need to worry. Sit back, relax and enjoy the trip. Now on our trip we do pass a few points and places of interest. Now unfortunately there are no official tour guides on these boats. What the company supply you with is an automated commentary system, and it's a bit like what you get on the buses, okay? Points out a few places, plays some fancy music, and it's about 10 minutes behind, okay? Now we can leave that with you if that's what you wish, but we do seem to get better feedback when we do a live commentary. But I'm not going to talk to myself, alright? I'll do enough of that indoors with my wife and kids. A show of hands if that is something you would like me to do, a live commentary. Okay, a few people, well that's good. Okay, I will try my best. Like I say, we're not guides, we are just a crew. So don't expect miracles, okay? And if I do make any mistakes, please feel free to just keep it to yourself. Now we know not everybody on board has English as a first language, so I will try to speak as slowly and as clearly as possible, and then hopefully everybody can understand. Now we'll start here to the right. We have the new Royal Palace at Westminster. That is the official name for the Houses of Parliament. Now it is home to the British government and it does contain the House of Lords and the House of Commons. But it is a royal palace, it's owned by the King. He lets Parliament sit here. And there has been a palace on that site for nearly 1,000 years. This building you see today, it is only 164 years old. The building that stood here before this, that was made of wood, and it stood here for 800 years. And it's the old wooden Parliament that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up back in 1605. Now where Guy Fawkes failed, two drunken members of the House of Lords succeeded in accidentally burning the old wooden Parliament down in a fire in 1834. A competition was held, and this was the winning design by Augustus Pugin and Charles Barry. Now it took 25 years to build. There are over 1,100 rooms inside this building. 34 of those rooms are drinking bars, where there's no licensing laws and they do not pay tax on their alcohol. Now I know it's unusual for a member of Parliament to have a privilege in this country, alright, but that is one that they do seem to allow themselves. Now the tower with the clock face, everybody calls it Big Ben, but as most of you are aware, Big Ben is just the bell that is inside that tower, and it chimes on the hour and the hour only. And it is a huge bell weighing 13.5 tons. And the bell is slightly cracked, just like many of the people that work inside those buildings. Now as we turn ahead of us, we've got the London Eye, built for British Airways back in the year 2000. Now it stands 450 feet tall. It holds 800 people in 32 glass capsules. It will take approximately 30 minutes for one round turn, and on a very clear day from the top of the London Eye you can see as far as Windsor Castle, so that's about 25 miles away. Now when it first opened, its licence that it was granted was only for 5 years. It should have been taken down in 2005, but due to the amount of money that it makes, it will stay here indefinitely. It used to cost just £5 for a trip on the Eye. If you book it on the day, a minimum of £41. It's no longer owned by British Airways. It is owned by Merlin, the entertainment group. Now to the left, the white building with the green roof behind the trees, that's the Ministry of Defence, and that is the headquarters for the Army, the Navy and the Royal Air Force. The monument on the Embankment wall with the golden eagle on the top, that's the Royal Air Force Memorial, built to commemorate all the men and women who lost their lives throughout the First and Second World Wars. Now the golden eagle you see on the top, that is made from captured enemy artillery. Then you've got the grey vessel here, the Tattershall Castle, a former ferry boat from the River Humber, brought here to London and used as a floating art gallery. Now for some unknown reason, she didn't make much money as an art gallery. After a year she was closed down and bought by the brewery Bash Charrington, and she is now used as a floating pub. She made more money on the opening day as a pub than she did in a whole year as an art gallery. Just going to show what type of artist we do have here in London. Now the fairy tale looking building, but to the left is Whitehall Court Mansions, private apartments when this was first built. Today it is home to the 5-star All Scarves Hotel. Just behind here is where you have All Scarves Parade, where at 11 o'clock you do have the changing of the King's Guards. Now the first bridge we're going to pass through is Charing Cross Railway Bridge. It feeds the station on the left. Now according to the architect, the station is meant to look like a steam train emerging from a tunnel. I think he was under some very strong medication when he designed this. Now as we pass beneath the bridge, for those on the top deck, if you do feel any water dripping on your heads, don't be alarmed, okay? The trains just have to empty their toilets before they enter the station. Now through the bridge and to the right we have Royal Festival Hall, the last remaining building from the Festival of Great Britain that was held there back in 1951. Now the acoustics in the building, they are said to be some of the finest in the world, and to perform inside here, stars such as Liza Minnelli, Elton John, Shirley Bassey, Pavarotti and Michael Jackson, just to name a few that have performed here to our right. Now the oldest thing on our journey is on the left, that stone obelisk on the Embankment wall. That's Cleopatra's Needle. It was carved out in Egypt 3,500 years ago. Now it was given to the British by the Egyptians. Well, I say given, they sort of stole it, after Admiral Lord Nelson defeated Napoleon at the Battle of the River Nile. It is one of a pair. Its twin stands in Central Park, New York. This bridge is Waterloo Road Bridge. It's known as the Ladies' Bridge, built by women during the Second World War. The bridge is built with a lady's touch, a very expensive self-cleaning Portland stone. So when it rains here in London, this bridge receives a thorough wash. Look on the underside, you can see how dirty it is compared to the outside, where it still looks as good as new. Now the Ladies built one of the longest and widest road bridges to span the Thames, and the only bridge that was built on time and under budget. And to the right, the concrete building with the illuminated writing. Believe it or not, this is our Royal National Theatre, voted one of the ugliest buildings on the banks of the River Thames. But you've heard the expression, never judge a book by its cover, and that certainly applies to this building, because inside of the building are three of the finest theatres. The largest is the 1,500-seater Olivier Theatre, named after the actor and the founder of the theatre, Sir Laurence Olivier. On the river itself, to the left, the white vessel with the yellow funnel, the Wellington, a former New Zealand sloop for the Royal Navy. Permanently moored on the river today as a floating livery hall for the Honourable Company of Master Mariners. Now, to be a Master Mariner, you do have to captain a ship at sea for at least 25 years, so it's quite an exclusive club. The head of this club is the King of England, King Charles III. And the stone archway to the left, that's Temple Arch, and it is a boundary line between two cities. It denotes we're just about to leave the city of Westminster, and we are just about to enter the city of London. Now, the city of London, it is one of the smallest capital cities in the world. It measures 1 square mile. Now, when we talk about London today, in general, you're talking about Greater London, and that's made up of 2 cities and 32 surrounding boroughs. But originally, Londinium, as the Romans called it, was 1 square mile. Now, to the right, the red brick building with the tower on the top, it's the Oxo building. It's here, the small little beef stock cube that we use on our Sunday roast. It used to be manufactured here. After the war, the building, it fell into disrepair, and like most things on the Thames today, it has now been turned into unaffordable housing. You've got a small row of shops at the bottom. There's 78 flats in the middle. You've got the glass viewing gallery, that's free to go up there, and then you have the Harvey Nichols restaurant. On the left, the white building with the green sloping roof, that's the old City of London School for Boys, a very famous school here in London where many of our elder statesmen, they have been educated. In between the 5 arch windows at the top, there are 4 statues. And those statues are Francis Bacon, John Milton, Sir Isaac Newton and William Shakespeare. That's 4 of this country's most famous scholars. It's no longer used as a school today. It's owned by J.P. Morgan, the wealthy American bank. And a lovely view above the bridge to the left of the magnificent dome and cross of St. Paul's Cathedral, designed by the famous architect Sir Christopher Wren. It took 35 years to build St. Paul's. 12 years of construction was the dome itself, and the dome, it is the 2nd largest unsupported cathedral dome, the largest being on St. Peter's in Rome. Now, St. Paul's, it stands 365 feet tall, the foundations are 3 feet deep, and buried in the crypt are some of this country's most famous national heroes. You have the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington, Admiral Lord Nelson, Sir Alexander Fleming, and the architect himself, Sir Christopher Wren. Now, if you haven't been in St Paul's, I do recommend it. It's £23. You can go visit the crypts. Then if you're feeling energetic, because bear in mind there's no lift or escalators, you can then climb the 528 steps to that viewing platform on top of the dome, where you do get views just as good as the London Eye. How's everyone doing? Okay? Yeah, is the commentary okay? Do you want me to carry on?
Yes.
Okay. Now to the right, the brown brick building with the tall chimney, that's the old Bankside power station, closed down in the early 80s. Today it's been turned into the Tate Gallery for Modern Art, viewing modern art exhibitions. Now this is a free art gallery to enter, but in my opinion, when you see modern art, you know why it is free to enter. Now connecting the two attractions, we have the Millennium Footbridge, built by Norman Foster as part of the Millennium celebrations. Now the bridge was opened on the 1st of June in the year 2000, but just 3 hours later it had to be closed because it was condemned unsafe. Now once a certain amount of people walked over the bridge, it started to wobble, and it took the nickname as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. It cost £5 million to stabilise the bridge, but according to the architect in a live interview, he said there's nothing wrong with my bridge, it's the way people walk here in London. And to the right, that white circular building with the wooden beams and the thatched roof, Sam Wanamaker's replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Playhouse Theatre. Now it was his dream to produce a replica, and this took 20 years to get the project underway. Now sadly he never saw the building complete. It was eventually completed by his daughter, the actress Zoe Wanamaker. Now it was opened in 1997, and it is used in the traditional way as it would have been during the days of Shakespeare. So no lighting, there's no amplification, no sound effects, and they dress in the periodic costume while reenacting some of Shakespeare's most famous plays. Now, to watch a play during the months of April till September, the tickets for standing area still only cost £5. Great value for money to watch a Shakespearean play here in London. But pick your days wisely, because if it does rain, you can get wet, because it's an open-aired theatre. Now through the bridge and to the right, in the corner of the next bridge, is a very famous Thameside pub. It's called the Anchor at Bankside. Now this little pub on the right, it was built in 1615, so it's over 400 years old. And to use that pub over the years, Samuel Pepys, the diarist, Dr. Johnson, William Shakespeare, and me. It is a very, very nice pub, folks. In fact, I spend most evenings inside this pub after work, but that is purely for research purposes, okay? Now, as we come through the bridge, on the right, a gap in between the buildings, and you will see a pirate-looking ship. This is a replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. That was built in 1971 in Appledore in North Devon. And it is an exact replica. It even took the same course that Sir Francis Drake took when he became the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe. It has done more miles than the original. It's sailed around the world twice. And while she's moored here, she is open to the public. The bridge ahead of us, everybody knows this bridge. It's the world famous London Bridge. Now several bridges have spanned the Thames at this point, The first ever London Bridge was built by the Romans back in 43 AD. Now the most famous London Bridge is the one that fell down, and it gave rise to the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. Now the previous one to this was sinking into the mud, and in 1968 it was bought by a Robert McCulloch for £1 million. The bridge was dismantled and shipped out to Lake Havasu and then re-erected in the Arizona desert as a tourist attraction. To the right, the tall glass building, that's the Shard at London Bridge. It's the tallest building in the country and it only stands 1,000 feet tall. There are 82 floors inside the Shard. Now it is offices, shops, bars and restaurants. There's a hotel, a 5-star hotel called the Shangri-La. You've got a viewing platform on the 72nd floor. And then the rest of it, that is made up of luxury apartments. The cheapest apartment inside the Shard is £30 million. Very expensive indeed. To the left, this building that gets wider as it gets taller, that's number 20 Fenchurch Street. The building with more up top. Right at the top of the building is the largest indoor roof garden, and it's free to go up there. All you have to do is book online in advance. It is called the Sky Garden London. The large warship coming up to our right, HMS Belfast. Built in Belfast in 1938, launched in 1939, she saw action throughout the Second World War. She was involved in chasing, shelling and sinking of the German ship the Shambles. Now she weighs 11,500 tons. Her main armament is 12 6-inch guns, each one capable of firing a 100-weight shell 14 miles. She fired the opening shots on D-Day, June 6, 1944, and she last fired those guns in anger in 1952, where she was a flagship for the United Nations in the Korean War campaign. Today permanently moored on the river as a floating extension for the Imperial War Museum. Well, there's our next stop to the left, Tower Pier. Now what we're going to do, folks, we're going to take you down to the bridge and we'll turn the boat sideways, okay? So you don't need to stand up, just stay in your seats, and then when we turn the boat sideways you can all get a nice side-on view of Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge was opened on the 30th of June 1894, designed by Sir John Wolfe Barry and built in the Gothic style to blend in with its surroundings, the Tower of London. Now Tower Bridge is the only bridge of its kind, being a twin steel suspension and bascule bridge. The bascules, which are those centre parts that form the roadway, they can be raised like a double-sided drawbridge to let larger ships in and out of the upper pool of London. Now they have raised on numerous occasions. The record opening is 54 times in one day. On average, it would raise 35 times a day. That's how busy it was here with river traffic. Now to open the bridge, it is free. They don't charge. They require 24 hours notice, and that is to let emergency services know to avoid the bridge in the event of an emergency call. And the bridge will open 364 days a year. There's only one day of the year the bridge doesn't open. Does anyone know? Most people say Christmas Day, but it will open. The only day of the year the bridge can't open is on the day of the London Marathon. And that's because 47,000 people go across the bridge as part of the 26-mile course. Although for a bit more entertainment, I think they should open it up a little bit. Give them something else to worry about. Now, does anyone want to see the bridge open up? Yeah? Well, YouTube, they've got loads of videos on there. Unfortunately, I think, no, today, Tuesday today, isn't it? So the next opening is today, okay? There is a bridge opening at 2:30, okay? So if you are in the vicinity later on this afternoon at 2:30, the bridge